Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the iRacing Stock Car Association Butt Kicker Cup Series, Super Cup Series, I should say here, as we are getting ready to have a championship race here at Phoenix Raceway. And one thing so exciting for me here tonight is that this is going to be simulcasted on the Grid Vision network. So we're super excited that the boys at Grid Vision made this happen for us. Of course, Kenny Powell was able to kind of broker a little bit of a deal. But my name is Brian Britt. Big Al is my co-commentator. We have Kobe Jordan down behind the cameras, as well as Austin Derbyshire. So really cool to have both of those guys kind of pulling all the strings. Big Al, how are you doing tonight?
Brian, I'll tell you what, I am doing awesome, and I'm super excited. You know what? I'm going to tell you why I'm super excited, Brian, because we're here tonight to crown a champion. We don't need another hero, but we're going to crown ourselves a champion, and I'm super stoked about that. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm definitely super excited to crown a champion here. We got 4 drivers that are going to be going for this championship title. And I can't wait to see who's able to get it done. But let's look at the race details before we get going here tonight, before we get into exactly who are these championship drivers. And, of course, looking at it here, we have this is the Butt Kicker 195. The winner of this championship will receive a Butt Kicker. So that's going to be really, really cool to see as well. But, of course, we're at Phoenix Raceway, this mile track, very unique mile track, I might add. That there's some interesting banking changes. There's a dog leg. I mean, this place has got it all. I mean, and it's going to be hectic. 4 wide possibly on these starts. Of course, 195 laps here on the docket here tonight. Stage 1 is going to be ending on lap 40, going to 41. Of course, stage 2 going from going to be lap 90 going to 91. And, of course, the race itself ends on lap 195. Going to 196, but the stages really don't matter that much considering the championship 4 is here. Points are not going to win you this race. It is going to be all about where you are at the end. Where are you when that checkered flag flies? 7 sets of tires altogether, 6 actually going to be down in the pits. Fuel window is 105, so that means pretty much fuel's not going to matter here tonight. We're going to be going just straight up racing. Who brought the best car? Who has the best long run speed? Who has the best short run speed? If we have a late race caution, it could go any sort of way tonight, Big Al. But let's look who is racing for a championship. And would you do the honors, Big Al? Who's racing for a championship?
I'm going to tell you who's racing for a championship. We got the 21 of Patrick Gitter, and I'm going to tell you Patrick Gitter's probably going to be my favorite. The next car up for the championship is the number 1 machine, driven by none other than Matt DeCiani. Third person is running for the championship, and we really got to talk about this guy. The guy who wins everything. I mean, I think he's pretty much won everything except tonight, and that's Clayton Hoffman. And the 4th and final driver competing for tonight's prize of being crowned the ISCA Super Cup Series champion is Brandon Pasalacqua, Brian.
Yeah, definitely 4 extremely talented drivers. We talked about it last week at Martinsville Speedway. I got to be honest, I do believe the 4 best drivers in this series are in the top 4 when it comes to fighting for this title. I got to be honest, I'm looking forward to this championship race more than I am the NASCAR actual championship race. And I'm being totally honest. I feel like these guys are the cream of the crop when it comes to the ISCA competition. And of course, the ISCA competition itself is, some of the top level drivers on iRacing. I mean, we see these guys like Clayton Hoffman, Derek Heitman, some of these drivers, they run, Matt DeCiani, Patrick Gitter, they run in top split. These guys are not slouches right here. I think even our producer, Austin Derbyshire, would probably agree. Those guys call the top split races there on Grid Vision, so give them a shout out once again for just a fantastic broadcast network, and we appreciate them partnering with us here tonight. Do want to mention, though, just a little bit of some information about the future of the ISCA. We will be running another season next year, starting back at around February, I do believe. But we do want to mention that we will continue to have hosted races every Thursday night at about 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with no fee to get in, but they're not broadcasted. There'll just be some fun races, A-Open style races, just to kind of keep everybody, having fun in the ISCA. But we'd love to see you kind of join us for next season. That's for sure. So make sure you check us out. I do believe you can find out more at iRacing or ISCA racing.com. So we definitely love to see you as well and sign up for next season. Of course, we have, I do believe, just under 2 minutes left in qualifying. So far, Clayton Hoffman is at the top of the board. Brandon Pasalacqua is in that second spot right now. So let's see, will we have any late, qualifiers here at Phoenix Raceway? I'm excited, though. I mean, Big Al, what is your experience with Phoenix before we go to play the national anthem?
Brian, I did get to run a couple of laps here at Phoenix, and overall, I'm telling you, I was super excited. Had a little bit of trouble, though, I must admit. Just wasn't working out too good for me as far as staying off the wall. So I hadn't been back.
I understand that. And this is a tricky track. I mean, this is not an easy track at all. I mean, both sides of this track are vastly different. We also have the change that happened, I think, over the last couple of years to where they moved the start-finish line. So 1 and 2, in my mind, is actually not 1 and 2 anymore. That's actually 3 and 4. So that's going to be something we're going to have to really keep track of. Also, pit road can be quite hard when you're coming off of pit road. Very easy for a collision to happen right there. But now I think is the perfect time. We're going to take a step away. We're going to play our national anthem. And we'll be right back as well. We'll probably give an ad maybe to our sponsors, but we'll be right back.
Sorry, I'm almost up.
Make sure we're synchronized when we come back,
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular amongst birds singing out, yeah, through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
And now, race fans, for the most famous words in motorsports. I just got 3 things to say. God bless our troops, God bless America, and gentlemen, start your engine!
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the iRacing Stock Car Association Butt Kicker Super Cup Series, as we're here for the Butt Kicker 195, or 250, I should say, here at Phoenix Raceway. Clayton Hoffman is going to be starting from the pole position here tonight. What a great advantage he's going to have from that position. Brandon Pastelak was going to be starting in second place, so outside pole for him. So that is 2 of your championship 4 drivers up in the top 2. Dylan Banks going to be starting in third place. He's, of course, no stranger here to the broadcast booth. Matt DeCiani, another championship 4 driver, going to be starting in 4th place. Patrick Gitter starts in 5th. Tim Portman Jr. is going to be starting in 6th place. Derek Heitman, he starts in 7th. Brian Johnson is going to be starting in the 8th place position. 9th place, Josh Schaffner. And Randy Mullins rounds out the top 10.
Yeah, that's going to put Kendall LeBron starting in 11th with Nick King rounding out row 6. Jeffrey Sousa comes in at 13th. J.C. Evans is going to be in 14th. Then you got the 19 of Jay Hone with Matthew Sista on his outside in 16th. Kenny Powell starting off in 17th with Randy Drumhiller starting off beside him in the 18th position. 19th position is going to show Mark Sanchez along with Alexander Carr, and those 2 rounding out the top 20.
Chris Severa is going to be starting in the 21st position, while Greg Wyszynski is going to start 22nd. Of course, 23rd, Paul Olson. 24th is going to be the 25 Greg Carr. 25th, John Bender. Definitely glad to see him back in the show here. 26th, Jose Medina. So 26 cars making it here for the championship race. And I think one thing, we're going to talk about, I think, all night is I'd say the impact, the influence that all these non-championship 4 drivers are going to have on this race. I mean, this is the championship race. This is the race for all the marbles, but these guys have every right to race as well.
Yeah, but I'm hoping these guys won't have any impact on what goes on for the championship. Yeah, they're going to come out and they're going to race, but the bottom line is whoever finishes first out of the 4 championship drivers is going to be the one that we crown champion. And unless all 4 of them get wrecked out, Brian, I guess we're going to be in for a long one. Speaking of wrecks, I guess it's time that we cover the over-under. I guess I'm going to go ahead and throw my dart at the wall, and mine is going to land on 5. That's right, Big Al's calling 5 for tonight.
The Big Al saying 5 cautions for the evening. Of course, I'm going to be going with, I do believe I'm going to say they're going to have 3 cautions for cause here tonight. I know Kobe has already said 0, I do believe. Is that correct? All right, he says, so what does Darby say? He hasn't done the over-under before on the ISCA. 15 cautions. Wow.
He is not a fan.
I guess not. Pace car, down pit road, and over and under. Yeah, he says he watches a lot of the top split. Gripvision definitely does do a lot of that for sure. Clayton Hoffman, though, I got to say, looking like he is one of the favorites here tonight. Of course, he is a previous series champion, but there's another previous series champion, Patrick Gitter, starting in 5th. Green flag is out for the first time here in the championship race in the ISCA. Clayton Hoffman off and away, and already we see drivers fanning out 4 wide here as we're side by side for second. Dylan Banks wasting no time going to battle.
Yeah, Clayton Hoffman wasting no time trying to get out front, Brian. That's going to be the key. You saw those guys try to cut down that dog leg as much as they could, but they're probably not going to want to do that the majority of the race because that's what's going to eat up those tires. And we'll talk about tires because that's going to be the one thing that I think is going to stand out here tonight.
Yeah, tires are definitely going to be a big deal here, as well as you got the variety of, I'd say, setups and things like that could definitely impact it. I think the gear ratios, is going to be an interesting subject as well. I do believe these guys are going to have to shift going around this racetrack, so we're going to see a lot of 4th to 5th shifting as we see Clayton Hoffman right now leading this parade, but Brandon Pasalakwa not giving him an inch. But look at the moves that Patrick Gitter has been putting on the field here. He just drove his way up to third. This guy looks like he's gotten a championship or two under his belt.
Yeah, he's got the moves like Gitter. And I'm going to tell you, there are some guys that are running a fourth gear setup, which I found that odd. But, man, it doesn't matter what setup they are. These guys are wasting no time kind of trying to get settled in a little bit if you look at it. Don't know how exactly that's going to play through the majority of the contest with our quote-unquote championship contenders. But I don't know. What are you thinking, Brian? What's your race angle here if you wanted a Fab Four? You going to be up front, elbows out, mixing it up? You're going to be hanging out in the back, waiting, to short pit that last stage to put yourself in a favorable position? What are you swinging at?
Man, I'll be honest. I'm nowhere near as qualified as these guys are. I mean, these guys are some of the best drivers on iRacing. I mean, I'm not even, I don't think I'm over-exaggerating that. I do believe, Clayton Hoffman is one of the best. I mean, Brandon Pasalakwa has proven he can go toe-to-toe with the likes of Clayton Hoffman. Patrick Gitter, previous ISCA champion. We've seen him in top split racing as well, Matt DeCiani. All these guys, they're not slouches. They don't play around. I think it's going to take extraordinary execution. It's also going to take a lack of, mistakes. Because, I mean, you're facing some of the best. You can't make a mistake. If you do, they're going to eat your lunch. They're going to be right there waiting to pick up the pieces and take that title from you. This is going to be, I think, who's going to win the race? The guy that doesn't make mistakes.
Yeah, those guys got to understand as well. There's a lot of guys out there that are going to be racing for other things, and we've seen that very rarely in this series. You see the accidents happening up front. They actually happen for the guys that are racing hard back in the pack, and that is probably not going to be an exception here this evening as well. So that's what I'm excited for, and I'd like to see the drivers actually get down to where they can actually use their own individual strategies to determine the outcome of this thing.
And one thing we got to realize as well is there's a lot of guys, that have, went home in the round of 12, but they went home in the round of 8. They wanted to go and pursue a championship. Well, this is a chance for them to kind of shine a little bit. You best believe that if somebody gets up here in the lead, they're not going to just give it up to one of these championship 4 drivers. They're like, hey, I want to be in the championship 4. I can't be in the championship 4 right now, but guess what? I'm going to try to win this race.
Yeah, we've seen that happen a lot, especially in this series. We've been no stranger to that, since we started the playoffs. And one conversation that we've had over and over again is just how much is too much for some of the non-playoff drivers. And we've seen drivers actually get taken out of contention by non-playoff drivers as well. So hopefully that won't be the case here tonight. Because, like you said, man, we're talking about a great group of guys, and I'm gonna miss these guys here, man, for when we take that hiatus.
Yeah, that's for sure. It is going to be sad to not be calling these races on Thursdays. I mean, it's going to be nice to have Thursday to do kind of what I want, but it will be something I'll miss, getting in here and just watching these guys perform. Because, I mean, this is one of the best series just to watch. I enjoy my job here tonight on Thursday nights. I don't know. I speak for myself, Big Al. I don't know about you.
I think when you started talking, I realized it's not really the ISCA I'm going to miss at all. It's you and Kobe, man. I mean, we could just have to get together on Thursday nights and just talk. That gives me a chance to run my mouth. But speaking of running our mouth, man, Clayton Hoffman is kind of running away with this thing. He's had the 6-car Brandon Pasalakwa. Brandon definitely trying to keep him honest, and that's what it's going to take. You can't let Clayton get out front and just start to run away with this thing. And as long as Brandon can kind of keep him reeled in, that'll kind of give us a little bit of an inkling of how this thing's going to go this evening. But once again, looks like Clayton's just pulled a rocket ship out of that shed today.
Well, I mean, Clayton always does. I mean, I want to talk about each individual of this Final Four because, I mean, we talk about them all season long, but I feel like this is the race that we need to talk about them even more. I mean, Clayton Hoffman, this guy is a plug-and-play driver. I mean, this guy can show up in any vehicle, and I think he'd be fast. I feel like he's good at it. He's overall just a fantastic driver. He knows how to build a setup, too. I mean, you can see Nitro on the side of that race car. He is the builder for the Cup car for Nitro. And so he knows what he's doing when it comes to building. I've known Clayton for a long time. The guy's smart, and he's wicked fast. I mean, that's the one thing about it. I mean, even in those top split races that Grid Vision calls, this guy's in contention a lot of times. And the only reason he doesn't win on some of those races is because, the all overwhelming numbers are against him a lot of times. but he's a fantastic driver. But Brandon's been putting on a lot of pressure on this 92. But one thing I got to say about Brandon, though, he's in dirty air. That dirty air is not going to help Brandon Passalacqua. It is going to make that car tighter. He's going to have an understeer problem, I do believe, by the end of this run. But he is showing some market speed. I've got to say I'm impressed, and I think that's why he's fighting so hard, because he wants to get that clean air from Clayton Hawthorne.
Yeah, definitely. Brandon he's got to keep Clayton honest, especially early on in this stage, because stage 2, that's going to be that unique opportunity drivers going to have to go and actually make some changes, slight changes to the car, to the program, make it run faster. But I mean, to the guys that are in the back, they're kind of in the struggle bus. But Brandon is the guy. He's the guy that you would like, hey, Brandon, date my sister. Hey, Brandon, drive my race car. Hey, Brandon, what do you do? Because Brandon's, I mean, he's a cool dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know if I want him to date my sister. My sister's married. I don't know if that would go over very well.
That's the perfect.
But no, I got what you're saying. Brandon he's a cool dude, and he's, just talking about, him a little bit more. He's the most consistent in this series. I mean, this guy has more top 5s than anybody. This guy, I mean, he is the Matt Kenseth of this series, in my opinion. He is the guy that just gets top 5 after top 5 after top 5. But you know what, Big Al? He needs to win this race. This is not a top 5. You can't get a top 5 and expect to leave this place with a trophy.
That's a great analogy, the Matt Kenseth thing, because Kenseth actually won a championship without winning a race. But that's not going to happen to Brandon. Unfortunately, I think you're absolutely right. The one thing he hasn't done as of late, and that's actually come across the finish line. I mean, he did win his way in to be in the Ford. I don't think he got here by points alone, but he needs to come up big tonight. And although he's the youngest of our championship contenders, I don't think that means that he's more apt to make mistakes.
Well, and then one thing we talked about last week, we heard even Patrick Gitter and Matt DeCiani both say this, that Brandon's like very humble. He's a guy that will he's like, oh, I'm not as good as Matt DeCiani. I'm not as good as Patrick Gitter. But Matt DeCiani and Patrick Gitter corrected him. They said, oh no, you're just as good as we are. You can come up here and go toe to toe with us. So Brandon, I mean, of course, it's great to be humble, but Brandon, he's a sleeper. This guy, he's going to be a champion. I totally, if he keeps racing in the ISCA, this guy's going to be a champion.
Yeah, he could actually become a champion tonight.
Yeah.
It depends on what happens in stage 3, because that's the one that's actually going to matter. I think what we're going to do actually tonight also is we're going to actually talk to our championship drivers as we go through this. At least we'll catch them, 2 of them during the stage intermissions, and then when we get to one of my 5 cautions, then we'll go ahead and try to drag the others up as well, because I think that's important.
It's been looking real clean. I'll tell you, I don't know if we're going to get it, Big Al. I mean, this is 20 laps in, and everybody's been starting to spread out. We do see, of course, the top 7. They're the ones that have broken away from 8th on back. I mean, you see Josh Schaffner. He's got about a 2.4-second gap up to Brian Johnson. Brian Johnson, he was one of the drivers that could have possibly made it into the championship 4, but he didn't, I don't believe, make it to the final race at I should say Martinsville. I don't believe he was actually in the Martinsville race, if I'm not mistaken. So, unfortunately, he was one I think that probably could have been in this championship 4. And I think he's going to race like he's in the championship 4, Brian Johnson.
Yeah, definitely. Brian should have been here. There are a lot of drivers, I think that actually had a shot at being here. They're definitely good enough. But there's some drivers, that just, they're still struggling. But they're still out there. Speaking of those struggling drivers, we got old grumpy grandpa who's going to be holding up traffic here pretty soon. That's 43 of Paul Osen. He knows that I don't mean anything by that. Paul, we love you. You're doing a great job. But we're actually going to come up on our first lap traffic of the evening right here, as our leaders are going to be encroaching on the 43. And unfortunately, that's going to happen way before we get to the stage break. As a matter of fact, looks like we're just almost halfway through the stage. Just a little bit more than halfway. And and unfortunately also, Brian, I think our shot at a caution is going to go away, because usually when those tires are cold or old, and they're just not going to be old enough and not cold anymore.
Well, I mean, tire wear is showing up right now here tonight. I mean, Clayton Hoffman clearly showing he's got the long run pace right now. Looking at lap times, he's the fastest car on the racetrack, I do believe. 27.745. That was last time by. We'll see what it is this time by. And yeah, once again, fastest car on the track. And I kind of thought that. I suspected that. I mean, I picked, before we started the broadcast, I said Brandon Passalak was my pick. I did pick him, and I'll stick with that. But I'll tell you one thing I also did say as well, that Clayton is going to be dangerous on the long run. This guy always is. I mean, you hear it time and time again when it comes to like Patrick Gitter. Patrick Gitter's, he wins these races, but he always says, I was watching the relative because Clayton was catching me. So it's like, Clayton started this race in front. That's scary. When he has clean air, he got a clean track ahead of him, he's going to start to run away. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing here for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's not going to slow down. That's the one thing as well. We've seen him do this time and time again. And one of his key attributes is speed.
Well, I mean, he's fast without burning it all the way up. I mean, he's had races to where he has kind of burned the tires up a little bit and hadn't, maybe missed the mark on the setup a little bit. But even when he misses the mark, he's still fast. Like, it doesn't even. It's just he's just such a great driver, and he's putting it on right now. He's got about a 0.6 of a second lead on Brandon Passalacqua. Of course, Patrick Gitter, he's catching up, or he was catching up to Passalacqua. So that's one I'm going to watch as well. Patrick Gitter, no slouch. He is a previous series champion. Actually, is the defending champion. He was last year's Super Cup Series champion. But I've even heard it from Patrick. Patrick is shocked at the level of competition that's in this series now. I mean, I feel like, last season, he definitely had his work cut out for him. There were still some fast guys in this series, but I feel like they've taken it up such a higher notch now. I mean, there's not a lot of slouches in this series anymore. Like, there are guys that they come to bat week in and week out ready to try to win a race.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is no doubt one of the most competitive series out there. Some people might disagree, but I would just simply extend them an invitation to come out and join this series on Thursday night.
Try to race with them. Let's see.
Put your good years out here on the track. Let's see where you at.
Yeah, I mean, put your good years where your mouth, what is, I guess, is what you would say. But you can see Chris Severa making the pass there, I do believe, on Jeffrey Souza. Severa, a previous series champion, as well. So definitely loving what I'm seeing there from the 99. Of course, he was the series champion in the Saturday series back when that was over.
Yeah, but the thing is, he was not just a champion. I mean, this guy, it was like it was Chris's playground. You'd come in there and he's just taking the candy from everybody and just sitting over there getting fat. I mean, literally, he dominated that entire league. One thing we always said was, man, I would love to see how he would like stack up against a Clayton Hoffman or Patrick Gitter, man. And Chris is a professional. He's got to be a professional. He's a champion. But he hasn't come out here and taken any candy from Clayton.
That's 100% fact. I mean, I've always wondered that same thing. Like, how would Chris, me and you both said that, I do believe, how would Chris do against Clayton or Brandon or Patrick, Gitter? And I feel like, he's faring pretty good. I think that he also has a little bit of rust. I mean, he's just getting really back into it. I mean, we've just recently been seeing him show up in these Thursday series. And work used to prevent him from racing in this series. So glad to have him back as we see Clayton is starting to really just extend this lead here. Over a second now. And I think the whole point, the reason he's extending this lead is exactly what I was talking about before. Brandon has wore those front tires out. What do you think, Big Al?
Well, definitely. That's the one thing that Clayton does, and Gitter also does, is to kind of lay back a little bit, give guys that overwhelming feeling that maybe they're a little bit faster than they are, and in the meantime, they're just burning their tires up and not even realizing it, and right when they think they can't, Clayton just drives off. So we see that happen week in and week out. Now we got Gitter who's coming back up on the back of the six. And Gitter's a guy, Gitter's probably saving a little bit. I think that's what he's doing. And the stages don't matter anyway. These guys are just trying to stay clean. I do believe that's the most important thing. But who's this God you call work?
that cause you to miss iRacing races. I mean, I definitely 100% understand for sure. But, you know, Clayton definitely pulling away. We're getting closer and closer to the end of this stage. So excited to see who's going to be the stage 1 winner. It looks like Clayton by a long shot. Do we stay green until the end of the stage? That's going to be the question. But so far, I don't think 15 cautions is going to happen from what our producer Austin Darbyshire said.
Yeah, but one thing though,
But here we go.
We still got to run this thing out, and drivers are definitely settling in. I was expecting to see it to be a little bit more racing through stage 1, but I mean, it's definitely not been that. It really does seem like we're just kind of cruising around here, which is a good thing. That's the way to get all of the laps in. Clayton Hoffman still.
Stage, I think a lot of the guys are maybe putting some notes down in their notebook, Big Al. I think a lot of that's what these guys are doing. I don't know if you can hear me or not, but I think that's what a lot of these guys are doing. They're trying to make what is the car handling like? Is it tight? Is it loose? What kind of adjustments can I make? I think a lot of that's what I bet Brandon Potzlock was doing. I bet that's what he's doing with Patrick Gitter is doing as well.
Yeah. And one thing these guys are doing, they're going a lot slower. I mean, that's one of the things that we kind of talked about. That was going to be a factor here. It definitely is being just that. Track temp is I mean, it's cool. It's cool in the desert. It's 68 in the seat, 73 down on the blacktop. So that seems like it will make faster cars, but there's yet over a second drop off. Is what we're seeing right now, as we are just coming up on the end of the stage.
Yeah, Brandon Potzlock was holding on for dear life here. You can tell that he is under constant pressure from Patrick Gitter. So I do believe that, Brandon's got to make some adjustments. Now, I've never known Brandon to be a driver that can make adjustments on the race car. Maybe he can, but I do know he has a whole team behind him. I mean, I know that all the Paradigm drivers have been probably working for this day. As here we go, I do believe Clayton Hoffman he's got the white flag in hand. Will he take the checkered? I do believe he will here as he comes into turn 3 and 4, and he's going to exit turn 4 and cross the start-finish line here, and he's going to win stage number 1. Clayton Hoffman, your stage 1 winner. Brandon Potzlock, of course, sitting in that second place position, was able to just barely hold on to it. Patrick Gitter finishes 3rd, Derek Heitman in 4th. Matt DeCiani 5th, of course, Brian Johnson 6th, Josh Shopper 7th, Dylan Banks 8th, Randy Mullins in 9th, Tim Wortman Jr. in 10th. Of course, none of the stage points really matter in this race, but still, just for the sake of, I guess, the routine, we'll go down to the top 10. But we'll come back. We'll talk to Clayton Hoffman in just a moment.
There might be some rain coming through. We expect rain soon. Rain is close. The session has been declared wet. No sign of this rain stopping.
Stage 1 just completed. Clayton Hoffman was able to win the race off of pit road. I want to see if we can chat with Clayton, but I don't actually see him. He doesn't seem to actually be available. No, I see him. He's far down. He's got to be as far away as he possibly can here. But we'll grab him up and talk to him for just a moment here. All right, we got him here. Clayton Hoffman, you were about as far away from the broadcast booth as we could go to pull you up here, Clayton. Why you got to make it so difficult on us? Do you read me?
Just trying to hang out, little incognito down there. There's
How's it going?
Oh, it's going great. I was able to stay ahead of Brandon there on the short run, and I have a lot of long runs, so yeah, it was great. We'll see. Made some changes to it. Handling's, it's not bad by any means, but you can always try to improve it a little bit. So, gonna try something here. We'll see if it works, and yeah, see where I finish in stage 2.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like you had some really good speed there. It definitely seemed like Brandon was putting a lot of pressure on you on the short run, but the long run, it seemed like that was where your bread and butter was. Is that what you're trying to improve? Is that long run even better, to make it better?
No, I'd say more of trying to improve the short run than the long run, but I would, when it comes to the car adjustments that I'm doing, I'm not going to take away from my long run, really. It's just going to be a matter of if I overheat the tires, if I make my short run faster, right?
Yeah, well, you're the expert, so we're just going to defer to you. Who can we shout out after your first place finish there in the stage?
Just shout out everybody in the league, you guys broadcasting it, Kenny, for continuing to put it on. It's been a great season, enjoyed racing. Sad I won't be able to race next week since the season's over.
All right, well, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Alrighty, that was Clayton Hoffman, driver of the 92 machine, our Stage 1 winner, and one of the drivers that is fighting for a championship here tonight. Josh Schaffner able to get some positions on pit road. Of course, he's a non-playoff driver, but he looks like he's going to go for some glory here as the pace car is getting ready to dive out of the way, or he has dived out of the way, I should say. Green flag is out for the second time here. No cautions for cause yet, but Josh Schaffner all the way up the track. He's going to be possibly in a little bit of a precarious situation. He hits the wall. What just happened with Schaffner?
Well, Schaffner didn't want to get in the way. I think he came off pit road just a little bit faster than maybe say he wanted to, but he's not really wanting to get up front there and start battling with these guys. So he took the long way around. You see all of the other drivers cut that dog leg off on that first couple laps down. Some guys will try to do that later on, because that is the way. Oh, got a big one here.
Yeah, it looks like I think Chris Severa possibly involved. We see and Jeffrey Souza. So Chris Severa and Souza with some issues here. It's possible to see exactly what happened here.
Look here, we got J.C. Evans, Kenny Powell in the 24, as well as Chris Severa in the 99. All of those cars have repairs required flags.
We're taking a look at it here, see exactly what happened. You see, of course, we have two different replays on both of the simulcasts here, so apologize if we are a little bit unsynced with one of them. We have to watch one of them. We see Jeffrey Souza. Yeah, Souza just gets loose as well. Same time. Yeah, at the same exact time, Chris Severa with issues with Kenny Powell. Powell with some massive front end damage as a result of this. So you can see this is just Severa getting loose, just like Souza did.
Old tires, man, and that's exactly one of the things we were talking about. And here's the thing: cautions breed cautions, no matter how those cautions start. But yeah, the 99 hard whack in the defense, and 24 nowhere to go. Prematurely, those guys are definitely going to have to sit out or wait it out, but they're not going to be as strong as they were, at least for a while.
Yeah, for sure. That damage is going to definitely hurt. Sure, it's going to be hard to recover from something like that.
Let's pull Patrick Gitter up and let's talk to him.
All right, Big Al, you got him.
Patrick Gitter, Big Al, up in the booth. You got me.
Yes, sir. I got you.
Man, this is a bittersweet one here tonight. This is the last one, the last chase for the race here. Where you see yourself at the end of this thing?
Hopefully in victory lane, but still getting a feel for the car. This is a massive weather and track temp change compared to what we've seen in officials and what we've been building the car for. So we're still kind of getting a feel for what it's going to do. A little bit tighter conditions with cooler track. So we're feeling it out. But I mean, we've got a decent car so far. We got plenty of time to work on it, and I don't think anything's nailed down yet until we really get those potential long runs in stage 3.
Well, man, I'm telling you, we're all rooting for you here in our own individual ways, hoping that you can actually get a championship. I think that would make you a repeat champion, wouldn't it?
I mean, I'd love to call it that. You know, these guys up here up front have got a lot of good cars. Clayton looks strong. I mean, Brandon's been up here. Derek, teammate, but you know, we got some other guys up here that've been strong. So it's not going to be an easy task.
Man, I tell you what, we're looking forward to it. I hope you guys had a great week. I hope you guys enjoyed this week getting ready for the race. Any special stories you want to share coming from your camp?
Man,
Can I
it's
ask a
just
question
it's
before
just been a
we-
yeah, sure.
I just wanted to ask a question, if you don't mind. Matt DeCiani, what happened to him? Why is he back in 15th?
He had a little bit of damage. I think he had some damage from hitting the track or something. He came into the pits and had a few seconds of damage, so he just went ahead and got it fixed.
Sorry to interrupt. I just figured that was something that would,
Yeah, no, you're good.
You're
But,
talking to him, so.
Yeah, no, you're good. But yeah, I mean, practice this week, we just put in a lot of time in practice to see if we could dial anything to the car that was to our personal liking, and trying to take into consideration track temperature swings, long runs, things like that. So it's been a work of love this week, and we're still working on it. But I think we'll be able to get something dialed here.
All right, boss, we'll let you get back to it. Anybody you want to shout out before you go real brief?
Yeah, appreciate my guys, teammates TCSP. Good luck to all the Champ 4 guys tonight. Shout out again, TCSP, Scenario Designs, you guys in the booth, and Kenny for Putland League.
Good luck to you.
Yep, appreciate it.
All right, that was Patrick Gitter. I hated to interrupt him like that, but I was just wanting to see if we could get some information on what happened to Matt DeCiani. And, of course, sounds like, I mean, this is something that we have not addressed, that dogleg. That dogleg does cause damage to the race car. You know,
Absolutely.
I've seen it throughout the times of my time on iRacing. Any vehicle at this track.
I saw it with the real guys the first time they went through there, and I do believe it was Kyle.
Green flag is back out in the air here, but yeah, look at that. Clayton Hoffman way up the track. He's going to try to see if he can possibly keep the momentum going into turn 1, and already you see Derek Heitman. He's trying to fight hard as well. Heitman, a non-championship 4 driver here, but looks like he's trying to maybe go for some glory himself as he's battling with his teammate Patrick Gitter. Gitter is going to have the run down the, I do believe this is the backstretch technically, as it looks like I think Gitter is going to get the pass complete up to 2nd place as Clayton Hoffman now out to a half a second lead. Brandon Pasalago, though, trying to see if he can get by these 76 as well. One thing we, got to talk about, Derek is not a slouch. Derek is a race winner in the ISCA. This guy, any given Thursday, can be up here in contention for wins. As you see Heitman trying to possibly hold off Pasalago. This is interesting. Heitman does not want to see Pasalaco get by and go to battle with the 21.
Yeah, you're going to see that a little bit later on. That's one of the things that I didn't want to ask directly, but there's going to be some team members that are going to be out there, make it a little bit harder for guys to pass. That's one of the things we're going to have to watch out for too, man. But definitely that first stage, I think it opened a lot of people's eyes. Drivers definitely weren't as fast. Like Gitter said, it was something about that track temp, and it's pretty cool down there. The track temp's only getting cooler now, it's showing 72 degrees down there.
Well, I think on the shorter run, I think these guys are probably maybe even a little faster than what we'd maybe see in the A Open or something like that. Because it is a cooler track than the officials. It makes the car a little tighter. It probably doesn't handle as good on the longer run, but I think you can kind of maybe get a little bit more speed early, so we'll have to wait and see. I mean, looking at lap times I'm seeing right now, 27.1. That's actually pretty quick in this next gen. I know that I believe the truck, you can hit a sub 27. You don't really see that much in this car.
Yeah, I mean, in the trucks, that's kind of weird that the trucks are faster here, but I just think they're geared so much better for going around. And the trucks are funner, in my opinion. my honest opinion, for driving around this track as well.
Clayton Hoffman still in control right now of this race. Of course, Patrick Gitter has worked his way up to second. He has, in a way, conquered Brandon Pasalacqua. Pasalacqua, of course, still has some chances here to get things done. But I think one thing we got to keep in mind as well is, at the end of that stage, Pasalacqua held on to second. That, in a way, I think was a bad thing. I don't want to have second place on a restart. I want to be in third. I want to be right behind the leader because the guy that's up top in second, he's at a disadvantage. And I think that's why Brandon, in a way, lost that position to Gitter.
All right, the 24 Kenny Powell's back onto the race surface. He's got his damage repaired. He's going to be running out just for laps at this point.
One thing I find really interesting, though, is that Matt DeCiani chose to go fix that damage. I mean, I'm wondering, did Clayton and Patrick and Brandon have damage as well? I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It had to have been substantial enough that it was affecting his race car, because he is in the midst of the pack, having to try to work his way back to the front. This is somewhere I don't want to be. If I had to choose between track position and fixing the damage, I think I'm choosing to go stay in where I was, because I don't want to have to fight my way back to the front. I think Matt can do it, but this is a tall task.
Plenty of time, though, and he's got to look at it like that. It's one of those situations where we fix the car now, get it out of the way, suffer for track position early on, but go back out there, battle, and get back up to the top, because that's why he's battling for the championship, because he's got to be used to some sort of adversity. That's what makes champions, right? It's not always going to be, green flags and clear tracks. Sometimes the sky's going to be a little cloudy, and maybe the flags might get a little yellow.
Yeah, I mean, no, you're right, 100%. But the nature of the playoff system in the ISCA and playoffs in NASCAR is you can't have a bad race in this championship race. I mean, we talked about Matt Kenseth. We talked about Matt Kenseth. That guy was able to win a championship based on purely points. This isn't how the current system works. I mean, the current system, you can't do that. That doesn't. It's almost impossible to win on just purely points.
Yeah, they switched it all up because.
And it comes down to one race. So now it comes down to this one race. Of course, yes, it's a battle to even get to this one race. But once you get here, you can't make a mistake. You can't be behind the 8 ball. You talk about that you can't be dark clouds. You can't have dark clouds in a championship race, Well,
sometimes it happens, and you just had to get it done. I don't think you had a choice. I think they made the best decision for the team, and maybe there are some other guys out there with damage, but maybe it's not as severe. It's just to me, that's a no spot down there. You just don't go there.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I agree. I'm of the mind. I believe the dog leg is kind of a. I don't go down there a whole lot. Unless I absolutely need to pass somebody. If I just absolutely know I got to pass this person, then I might would go down a little bit down there. But you don't go too deep. I think that's the whole problem.
Well, we seen 3 deep in there, but the thing about it is that's great for cutting that corner when you're trying to deliver the fastest qualifying time. But you're going to get thrown around down there, and sometimes that's just not worth the risk.
Yeah, that's true. And also you could end up risking the race car and spinning out or something like that. And it hurts your entry to turn 1 as well. I mean, you're not able to really get as wide of an arc going into turn 1, and that even hurts, the exit onto the backstretch. So, I mean, is it worth the payment that you're going to make? I mean, that's essentially, there's a cost associated with it. And I do want to mention that I do believe Matt DeCiani can overcome these odds. I mean, I'm kind of selling him a little short because I just feel like this is a championship race. It's hard to come back from things like that. But one thing we got to mention, we haven't talked about DeCiani a whole lot. This guy is the clutch master. This guy comes in clutch. I mean, he just shows up with off-the-wall strategies and win races. But we've seen him. There's been races where I've counted out Matt DeCiani, and he has shown up and just made me look like a fool. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's why they make us run every single lap, and that's why we can't even wave the flag until the last lap is run.
Yeah.
So he's got a long way to go. This is the championship battle. I think he knows what's on the line. How many times have we seen Clayton Hoffman come out and put on a dominating performance. It's just to kind of step on himself going on the pit
Yeah,
road.
100%. No, 100%. I mean, we've seen Clayton be the fastest car on the track, and everybody has said, "Oh, he's so fast, and then he wrecks, or something like that. Something causes his downfall, and he's no longer a factor. I mean, that could happen.
Yeah,
That's why I think he wants to be where he's at right now. He wants to be in the lead. He don't want to have to deal with anybody, lap traffic included. But I also want to circle back to DeCiani. DeCiani, he could. We've seen him in races take 2 tires and just bump up to the front, be in the lead, and just stay there. Like, that's happened.
And who says that he's not going to do that again tonight? I mean, what are the tire strategies here? Can 2 tires actually do it? These guys should know that by this time going into this. So I guarantee you, there's probably going to be some guys that actually do experiment, because I think, man, it's going to be tight once we get down to the end of this thing. They're going to probably be able to make it on fuel, but the tire situation is going to be something that's going to cause drama to pit.
If we get a late race caution or something like that, to where, everybody does come down pit road and, he takes 2 tires, I mean, these guys are talking about, the track is tight. I mean, Patrick Gitter clearly mentioned that. He said the track is tight. Well, if you were to take, let's say, rights only, that would make the car looser. So it really would help him, right? I mean, that would make you turn a little bit better, and so it could even help you.
You're not going to get me to start calling pit strategies. I'm just, in my mind,
I'm just saying, it's a possibility. Matt, if anybody's tried it, I mean, I got to think, these guys are trying to win a championship, Big Al. They went into a practice session, I guarantee you, and we're like, okay, what kind of options do we have? What are the options? Can we take 2 tires? Is that something we can do? I guarantee you they have a notepad, or maybe not a notepad, you know what I mean, like a mental notepad of all the things they can do.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is that they would have had to go out and just run a tank of gas out of that car and figure out how it's going to start handling. There's been so many cautions this week, whether it been A Open or the NIS even, where you just haven't had the green flag runs to get to down.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why they've done it in a practice, yeah.
Yeah, so once we get into that last stage, I think the gas won't be the issue. I think the tires are going to be the problem, and I think that's going to cause a lot of guys to come down on pit road, which is going to greatly increase our shots at having more cautions.
No, I think you're right. I definitely think gas is not going to be a problem in that last stage. It's going to be all about tires. It's all going to be about handling, and I think that's the key to stage 1 and 2. I think that's exactly what these guys are going down the drawing board. That's why Clayton's making adjustments. That's why Patrick, they're massaging the race car. That way later it'll feel right. But the one thing about it is, it's so hard to adjust on these cars as this race goes on, because the track is changing the entire time. So these guys are trying to hit a moving target when trying to nail the way these setups handle. I mean, the track is changing constantly.
Yeah, right now the track temp 74 degrees. Outside air temps are still saying the same at 68, but they're down there now and they're turning laps and they're turning them consistently. I think right now the strategy is going to be, we got to figure out how we can get these tenths back of seconds, because that's what you're going to need if you're going to try to close that gap, say on a Gitter or a Clayton Hoffman. Now, Brandon's been up there in the mix, but we know one thing about Brandon. Consistently throughout the season, Brandon has suffered from that tire degradation clause. It's like when his tires start to get a little wobbly, he slows down, and that's going to be his Achilles tendon here tonight. We're going to be watching out for that. Matt DeCiani, like you said, he really kind of, he declawed his cat, if you will. So he's going to have to throw that thing down there in a dogfight and hope that it can still get it done, just with soft paws.
Well, I mean, you mentioned the temperature. I think that one thing, it's not just the temperature of this track that's changing. It's also the rubber that's being laid down. I mean, that changes the track, I think, more than the temperature does in a lot of ways. I mean, if you, I mean, I know, you probably know this, Big Al, but I mean, anybody that's an iRacer probably would know this, that if you go to a high usage track versus a zero usage track, the difference is so huge. I mean, you go to a high usage track, the car is going to be incredibly tight. It's just not, there's going to be marbles all over the track. The car is just not going to handle right. But if you go to a zero usage track, it might be on more of a looser side. So that's also something that is going to be evolving as this track or this race goes on.
Well, I'll tell you
Just the
that.
usage.
Yeah, they are definitely saying that this track has marbles on it. You know what I mean? It's a dirty track. It's not a clean track.
And it's getting
Track
dirtier.
yeah. Track is dry. Marbles and dust are left on track. Practice low usage. Qualifying is carried over. But yeah, we're seeing it start to happen here already. And another thing is, this is that part where guys are in traffic, but at the same token, they got to be cognizant of the fact that he's out there and he's running away with this thing. So I'm thinking if you're one of the Fantastic Four, at least one of the other three, at some point, you got to start coming up with a plan here, because Clayton's going to be a problem.
No, Clayton is definitely a problem. I mean, Clayton is driving away. He's clearly the fastest on the long run, and he's able to hold on to it on the short run. I mean, he's made adjustments to try to make that short run a little bit better, and it seems like it's working, and it's also not hurting his long run as much. I do want to say there's a pretty big battle going on right now for fourth place. Derek Heitman is under pressure right now from Brian Johnson. Brian Johnson, he's got something to prove, that Ford machine. He is driving all over the back bumper of the 76.
You know, one thing too, Brian, I'm starting to look at this. We got just under 10 laps to go in the stage. Question's going to be, who's going to short pit stage 2? Because that's going to be a great way to guarantee yourself great track position coming into stage 3. And that, I think, is what it's going to be. Because you don't really care about the win, but you're going to care about where you're starting off in the next stage. Even for accident sakes, for wreck sakes.
Well, here we go, coming to 8 laps to go in stage number 2. As well as Dylan, I was talking about the race is on. Dylan Banks is starting to catch up to Brian Johnson and Derek Heitman as well. So the race is definitely starting to heat up for that 4th, 5th, and 6th place position. As of course, we're just watching Clayton Hoffman right now pull away. He's got over a 1.2 second gap right now on the rest of the field. He continues to pull away.
Yeah, and that's the problem. That's the one thing that I think everybody has got to have first and foremost on their mind. But if you look back to a number 1, Matt DeCiani, does DeCiani short pit the stage? Does he take 2 tires? That's going to be one sure way to put him back up front and in the conversation, because, I mean, it's going to be a hard measure to do that on the track.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to be tough. I mean, I think that you're going to have to really make some major, desperate plays if you're in the One Machines camp right now. I think there's got to be desperate plays for Patrick Gitter as well. I think Gitter really needs that clean air. I feel like that's what he's got to do. He's got to try to find some way to get in front of Clayton. But you see, definitely DeCiani trying to make something happen. Now we're looking at the battle. I was waiting to see this battle. I mean, because Brian Johnson has been really attacking Derek Heitman this whole last almost 10 laps. I mean, Brian clearly has got a faster race car right now than Derek. And I wouldn't be surprised that Brian shared the notes when it comes to Brandon Passalacqua. We talked about Clayton Hoffman being a very good builder. Brian Johnson is as well. Brian Johnson can really work very well on these race cars, and wouldn't be shocked to know that he's maybe providing some setup advice to Brandon Passalacqua to get him maybe up to speed, maybe change that race car to suit the changing track.
And I'm gonna tell you, I'm starting to feel a little worried about my number 1 buddy there, Matt DeCiani, because Matt's not running up the pace. He seems to be off the pace considerably, and that's got me worried a little bit, because his championship hopes could be fleeting.
It definitely could be, and that's what I was talking about earlier. Is like, he made a huge gamble by going and fixing that damage. This is a track position racetrack. Not as bad as Martinsville. I wouldn't say this is a track position track like Martinsville, but it is close. I mean, it's hard to pass at this track. This is not an easy track to pass at.
This is one of the most difficult tracks to pass, just because this track is so broad and so wide. So passing here, it takes laps. It's not just I'm up on this guy because you're rolling into turns. But my point with Matt DeCiani is he's not able to maintain the pace of even the 50 car Josh Schaffner. And I'm not saying that Schaffner's slow, but I'm saying he is falling back instead of actually going forward. So I'm afraid that the damage was pretty significant, Brian, and he still might have some left to fix.
I don't know. I don't think that's it. I think that the problem with Matt DeCiani right now is because he had to fight so hard to get up to 8th. We got to think he restarted back in 15th. So imagine how hard he had to work those tires to get it back up to 8th. You know what I mean? So I think he just scorched those tires, and now he's feeling that. So I mean, you could be right. That he has some damage that is residual that is still affecting that race car. But I just really think it's the tires, and I'm thinking he's going to hope that he can make something on this final stage. But the thing is, this is the final stage coming up this lap. I mean, Clayton is now finishing stage number 2. He's about to cross the line right now, and Matt's still got a bunch of time he's got to make up. Caution flag is out, and Clayton Hoffman wins his second stage. He has now swept the stages so far. Patrick Gitter, your second place finisher. Brandon Pasalacqua third. Derek Heitman in fourth. Brian Johnson fifth. Dylan Banks sixth. Josh Shopper seventh. Matt DeCiani eighth. Randy Mullins ninth. Tim Wortman Jr. in 10th. And with that, we're going to take a step away. We'll come back, and I think I'm thinking Brandon Pasalacqua, Big Al. What are you thinking?
Absolutely. Bring up Brandon Pasalacqua.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ISCA Super Cup Series, simulcasted on Grid Vision. Of course, we want to thank them for partnering up with us here tonight. Definitely very, very appreciative. This is an awesome thing to undertake here. We're going to go ahead and talk to, I do believe, our third place finisher in the stage. I should say, yep, third place in the stage. Brandon Pasalacqua. We'll pull him in now. Of course, Brandon, you're joining us up here in the booth, the Six Machine, fighting for a championship. How you doing?
Hey, Brian, good. How are you?
Doing fine, man. I mean, excited to see if you can get it done. I hope I don't jinx you or anything, but you were my pick. You're my pick to win this championship. But it seems like you're struggling a little bit. What are you going to do, man?
Man, fast cars go fast. That 92 in Clean Air is a bullet, that's for sure. I really do think Clean Air is the biggest driver here. I think you play any of these top 5 cars, I mean, hell, top 7 cars up in the lead, and they'll be able to hold the rest of us off probably. And that sell after about 20, 30 laps. It's so much easier on the tires and everything. So, but nonetheless, I'm having fun. It's good to at least be running up in the top 5 in the championship race. I know last year, you know, Josh and I made it, but we were definitely off pace. So, yeah, we're a little bit off pace between the 92, and we're not too far behind the 21. But hey, we're giving it our all and having fun doing it.
So what do you think you can do? I mean, have you guys been at least trying to massage the race car, trying to make it better?
Definitely. Yeah, so I've been struggling with tight end as the run goes on all week. Been making a bunch of adjustments throughout the week. Just can't get it the way I wanted to. So just made some more adjustments on pit road this time, and hopefully that makes a difference here on this last run.
All right. Well, I mean, a whole season worth of work is coming down here to tonight. I mean, what was the feelings coming into tonight? Was it like just anxious, or what was it?
Yeah. No, I was good this time. Last year I was anxious. This year I was a little bit more calm about everything. I think just, you know, being here last year helps a lot, and, you know, I put in the time, so, you know, that's all you can do is put in the work and give it your all during the race. So it's been smooth sailing for me.
All right. Well, who can we shout out after you're in the championship 4 going for a title?
Yes, sir. I just want to shout out you guys in the booth, Kenny for the League, OB Builders, Dover Trim, Ram Welding, and all my dogs in Paradigm. It's been a fun year, and hopefully we can close it out with a win.
All right, best of luck to you.
Thanks, Brian.
All right, that was Brandon Pasalacqua, driver of the 6 machine. Pace car has dipped down pit road now as we are getting ready to drive the final stage of the year, Big Al. This is the final stage of the Super Cup Series Championship. This is when the real race begins. This is when a champion is going to get crowned.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm excited. And I'm going to tell you what, they're getting ready to line it up one last time. Patrick Gitter said it best. Brandon Pasalacqua said it best. Clayton Hoffman off to go. Brandon going to do what he can, trying to get that track positions to 21, followed by the 76, come down low. Clayton Hoffman wasting no time, though, getting it gone again. Once again, trying to start this stage off strong. This is, like you said, the third and final stage. Behind the leaders, though, everybody's still trying to find themselves a spot. Like, where do you fit in life?
Wow.
The 21 yields to the 6, and Brandon Pasalacqua has made it back up to P2.
What a start for Brandon Pasalacqua. I mean, a lot of times you start in 4th place. I mean, that's like starting in 2nd. You know, it's just like starting on the high line. It's not usually a good thing around this racetrack. But Brandon made it work. I mean, he was able to claw his way in front of Patrick Gitter. But here comes Patrick. Patrick says, "You are not done with me yet, good sir." I do want to mention as well, Matt DeCiani, he is back up into the top 5 again. How did he make that work?
I was going to say that. You just wouldn't let me say it, so you just had to call it, so I'm going to be quiet now.
I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to take it from you, but I don't know how he did that. I mean, just he had a 14-second stop, so that means he did take tires. It looks like, I think his qualifying position helped him gain some spots.
Yeah, but that would have been a tremendous effort on his part to get back up with the field, you know, and then everybody go down pit road together. He would have had to be right on the money, as we are halfway through this thing ourselves, Brian. And so far, it is really not shaking out the way that we kind of hoped. I mean, I did pick Clayton, and Clayton is kind of getting it done.
Did you?
Did I pick Clayton?
Did you? I don't think you did.
You
picked Patrick Gitter, you liar.
I picked Patrick.
Don't you be lying in this broadcast right now. Everybody can go back and hear what you said.
My wife is listening, and she knows that I suck at commitment, okay? Leave me alone. It's been a long race.
Clayton Hoffman no one picked Clayton, I don't believe. I mean, of course, me and you are the only ones that voiced our picks here tonight. But Clayton, clearly the race is going exactly how he wants it to go, I do believe. I mean, he is absolutely 100% dominated this thing. I mean, he has led now 100 laps of the show. How about it? I mean, hats off to Clayton Hoffman. I mean, I think the pole position is exactly what he needed to do, and he's got the car to stay out there as well.
Yeah, and, you know, Kendall LeVron is actually, he is down and out right now. 28 car, looks like he has a black flag. Not sure what that's about. Not sure if he's actually going to get back out there and finish this thing, but we'll keep our eyes out.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for Kendall LeBron. I mean, I got to be honest. The guy shows up with a lot of pace a lot of times in these ISCA races, but something always goes wrong, and he ends up quitting the race. That's definitely very discouraging.
A race is every lap has to be perfect. Every turn, every lap, every corner, every entrance, every exit. And you have to go out and perfect the perfect lap each time. And sometimes people like me with ADHD, you know, yeah, you might get 50 out of me, but after that, it gets a little cloudy. I'm not saying that he's got ADHD. I'm just saying, but, you know, Kendall's a racer, and he slugs. I don't think he's yet mastered the art of patience. How about that? Is that nice?
No, I agree. I mean, I definitely agree, but I mean, I've seen in the past Kendall has, you know, had a car, you know, yeah, he'd has maybe some damage or something like that, but he could have kept racing or something like that. He just, I don't know. I mean, I kind of look at it as that's giving up a little too easy. I mean, but, you know, it is what it is. It's your decision.
Man, I'm trying to be politically correct, and you just go drag the dude behind the
I'm going to be
race
completely honest. I'll be completely honest. You know, a lot of people know I'm affiliated with a certain team, and he's on that team. Like, and it's, I don't appreciate it. But, I mean, I'm sure he'll, not like what I said, but that's okay. I mean, I just saying what I think, and that's what we're up here for.
Do better, Kendall. Do better. Race continues.
I do want to mention, if I can, while we have a little bit of time here, I do want to talk about something that's coming up soon. producer would be happy for us to talk about, Kobe Jordan, of course, the Bathurst Clash. Nations at Speed, I do believe that's what it's called. It's a race at Bathurst. It's going to be 61 laps in the next-gen car at Mount Panorama, or otherwise known as Bathurst. This is going to be a battle between Australia and the United States of America. It's when and where is it going to be? It's going to be, of course, December 7th, of course, for Australians. It's going to be 12 a.m., I do believe, Australian Eastern Standard Time. December 6th for Americans, of course, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Me and Big Al are going to be, I do believe, on the call for this. We'll be broadcasting this. It'll be a Friday. So even though we'll be stopping the ISCA season, there will be still something that we'll be bringing some action to. You so looking forward to that. It's going to be on the ISCA channel. Of course, as I mentioned, 61 laps. It's going to have stage breaks. There's also prizes. It's going to be $50 to first place. Second place gets $30. Third place gets $20, and actual trophies. There's going to be physical trophies handed out as well. So if you're an Aussie or if you're a an American and you want to go battle, for your nation, you better show up. I'm looking forward to it.
And that trophy might resemble a meat tray, but I'm going to tell you what, Bathurst, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just a NASCAR fan and you want to see something cool, that is probably one of my most favorite tracks next to Laguna Seca. But
and I do believe the entry fee is like $7.50 or something like that. It's something. Well, it's not too much, and there's also a prize on the line, some prizes on the line. So definitely, it's going to be fun. I can't wait to call it. I don't have a lot of experience with that racetrack, but I just figured, it'd be, show up, race in it, or watch it. We'd love to see you as well in the broadcast.
And you get to listen to Big Al and Little Brian. I mean, what else would make your December great?
I do believe, Steve Hobbit. Steve Hobbit's going to be there. Little Brian will be there. I can't believe you called me Little Brian, Big Al. But Clayton Hoffman out front by 0.8 of a second right now. And this race has been clicking down quick, fast, and in a hurry. We're 110 laps in. We have less than 75 laps to go here momentarily.
86.
There's the math. There's that math, that Brian math, that Carolina math coming in there. If Austin Edstrom would here, if he was here, he would give me a very hard time right now with that.
How many laps did you say we have to go?
Yeah, I said 75, but I was wrong.
You're off by 10 or so. But that's good when it's close.
That's that Carolina math. Alabama math is a lot better. Y'all are a lot closer.
Stop. Ladies and gentlemen, disclaimer. He is from South Carolina. That's not Carolina. That's South Carolina math. North Carolina is different. We got indoor plumbing. We got running water, lights, electricity.
We have dirt roads. That's all we got.
I was a part of the crew that went down there and ran that water hose across the state line so y'all could get, running water.
The water hose.
It's my water hose.
That's right. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate it, man.
Still running
under a lot of stress.
It's keeping the whole state afloat. But man, look at what's going on here. This is actually just shaping up to be probably one of the best championship battles I think that we could get. All four championship contenders are now positioned at 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can't stack it any better than that. Kudos to the guys for letting. Listen to what I was getting ready to say. Kudos to the guys for allowing Matt DeCiani the opportunity to get back up front and race.
Yeah, I don't think they let him. I don't think there was anything like that happening. I think that the reason these guys are in the top 4 spots is the exact reason they're in the Final 4. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, these guys have been any day of the week, should I say any Thursday that you are watching ISCA, you're going to see one of these 4 probably up front. I mean, am I wrong?
No, they've definitely consistently been up front throughout the season. It's only fitting that these guys are the 4 that are actually running for it. There was some other honorable mentions in there that we would love to have seen actually duke it out up here, but it is what it is. And here in about 80 laps or so, we're going to crown ourselves a champion, and that's what I'm truly excited for. Thank everybody for actually joining us here tonight. This is kind of bittersweet. It's sweet in the fact that we're going to get a champion, and it's bitter in the fact that it's going to be a little while before we're actually able to do this again. This has been an awesome season of ups and downs. I mean, and probably one of our biggest seasons to boot. We've been having an average. I'm going to throw it out there. I think our average cars per race is going to be somewhere around 35 cars per event, and that's pretty spectacular.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think it's around 30 probably. You know, every race there's been at least 30 cars showing up. Of course, this one's a little bit lighter, you know, because these guys are out here running for a championship, and only 4 of them are. But I think it still speaks so. I think it speaks greatly to the league itself, the popularity of the league, the cleanness of the league, that we still have that many cars showing up, even when no one has a chance to win the championship except for 4 drivers. I mean, that a lot of times leagues, whenever you get close to the championship, when you get to the playoffs, the participation falls off a cliff. And that has been the ISCA in the past. Last year, I'd say that probably happened in this series. But this year, it has been a totally different vibe, Big Al. I mean, I got to say, the racing has been just chef's kiss, right? And as well, it's just been so clean. And everybody keeps showing up because I think they're having so much fun.
Yeah, and one thing to boot on that is it's the caliber of guys that we got in here, and the fact that you can come here week in, week out, and get a clean race. It's probably one of the only places you're going to find a clean race. So if you yourself are a clean racer, a couple of clean racers, well, have them come on and apply to the ISCA. Contact Kenny Powell, as slots will become available. You're getting ready for us to go into the 25-26 Super Cup Series season.
Yep, and of course you can go to iscaracing.com for more information. There's also, I do believe, a Discord link on that website. And that's how you can figure out how to join and ask questions in the ISCA Discord, and they'll definitely point you in the right direction for next season. So get your planning out of the way now to try to clear your schedule for Thursday, because you want to be here. I mean, this is some of the best racing on the service. I mean, if you jump in an official race, it's going to be just caution filled. I mean, I think everybody knows that. But if you jump in an ISCA race, you're going to actually race.
Yeah, I think Kenny's going to try to get PayPal to sponsor the series next season.
Oh, no. Oh, goodness. Yeah, I don't know about that. We'll see how that kind of plays out. I don't.
That's just a little nudge.
No. Yeah. No, that's a little nudge towards Kenny Powell. And, of course, a lot of people were like, what are you talking about? Like,
but yeah, definitely getting those stuff from the guys up front all the way back to it looks like that's going to be that car Dylan Banks. So those are not the steps that will do it, make it happen. Clayton's got a little bit of traffic in front of him, and no matter how you look at that, that is going to break that arrow a little bit, Ryan.
100%. I was just thinking that as you were saying that traffic in front of him. That is going to mess with the clean air that Clayton has been enjoying. And that's when you see a Brandon Pastelacqua possibly chasing him back down. Because Brandon has been dealing with that dirty air the whole race. Clayton has not. Clayton has not dealt with probably any dirty air. And what does that car handle like in dirty air? Does it push like a dump truck? I think it will. I think he'll be able to handle it. But it is something that I think that he's probably has on his mind.
Well, definitely he has to have that on his mind. But another thing, Brandon is he's a scholar. Okay, the young man is definitely very, very intelligent, and race intelligence is a big thing. Now, he learned early in that first stage that chasing Clayton down isn't going to do him any favors. He's just going to find himself exhausted. Tires are going to be done. But look at him now, Brian. He is actually making a concerted effort to keep Clayton just close enough to grab him, but he's not doing it at the expense of his own equipment.
And my thought is as well, I mean, we're seeing pretty high fall off. I mean, almost a second, probably a fall off right now, which probably I think is accurate. I think that's going to be a big deal. I think with that kind of fall off, even though these guys may be able to make it on gas, is that kind of fall off enough to warrant a pit stop for tires? If it does, and we see green flag pit stops, if Brandon short pits or something, or overcuts Clayton, you know, to try to have a tire advantage on Clayton. Either way, if he could just jump in front of Clayton, that could be a big deal.
It's going to be risky, though. I mean, this is one of those things where drivers are going to have to make a very, very and I probably don't imagine most teams already know if they're going to stop or not. But that is a very deliberate decision to calm down and get tires, because you're going to lose so much track position. And speaking of losing track position, there's something going on. I believe that is Brian Johnson. Looks like he's cruising around with his...
There's a battle. That ain't a cruise. That's a battle right there. See Brian Johnson. He's battling with his teammate Randy Mullins right there. You see he just got past Randy Mullins. You see Tim Wortman Jr. Wortman Jr. in the 83. He almost made it. Possibly did a Final Four. He was one of the drivers that was battling for that Final Four spot. And, of course, he still wanting to get some stuff done as he battles with Randy Mullins. Mullins as well lost that... you know, one of those spots last week. Those guys still want to race hard. They still want to get some good finishes here.
He lost that love and feeling.
Yeah, we even talked to Randy Mullins about it. And, he definitely sounded pretty disappointed. But I tell you, he did handle it a lot better than I expected, especially him getting, I do believe, involved in a wreck there late in that race.
Yeah, that's one of the things. Yeah, that's one of the things we talked about. How, you know, non-playoff drivers sometimes have direct impacts on playoff contenders, and tonight might not be any exception to that. You know, Clayton has had to navigate around a minefield of cars and other things going on. DeCiani, he's actually been all the way back in the thick of things and made his way back up to the top 5. So, yeah, everybody that's racing has not just been out there cruising. There's been a lot of racing, a lot of good racing, hard good racing going on out here as well.
Well, Clayton Hoffman encountering more lap traffic. He's now caught, I do believe, Mark Sanchez. So we're going to see him maybe get introduced to some more dirty air here. As he, well, looks like Sanchez is going to get out of the way. So a lot of people have been very respectful here. Actually, Mark, I thought he was getting out of the way. He kind of went down off the down way deep on the apron. No, he's getting out of the way. I think he's trying his best to.
He was thinking that maybe taking the shortcut would have been faster, but it's called a shortcut, Mark. We love you.
You can see that Mark has a lot of damage on that race car. Very heavy front end damage. That splitter not sitting exactly like it should. So, you know, definitely he's limping around. And, you know, Mark is definitely, I think, trying to size up next season. Because, you know, Sanchez definitely...
Shout out to Mark Sanchez, because I would definitely say Mark Sanchez should probably go down as one of our most improved drivers of the season, right next to, Randy's in the top 5? I mean, those two guys this year definitely, they stepped the game up, both, you know, respectively.
Yeah, no, Randy Mullins definitely he's been one that has, you know, gotten a win, you know, as well. I mean, this guy definitely clearly knows what he's doing. I mean, Mark Sanchez won the Daytona first race, our version of the Daytona 500. He won that. So clearly, you know, we've seen a lot of drivers that have really stepped up to the mat and been able to get stuff done. When in the past, you know, maybe they weren't able to get a win. So great kudos to everyone. But Passalacqua, I think, feels like he's in trouble. Looking at lap times right now, Brandon Passalacqua is under massive stress right now and pressure from Patrick Gitter. Looking at lap time, I mean, 28.5 or 2:59, I should say. Patrick Gitter 28.161. So this is going to be a battle for second place here very shortly.
You know, here's the deal. These guys are slowly coming up on, hey, this is the most amount of laps we've driven on a single set of tires, and that's happening. And although there is a fall off, the tires do come to a point when they plateau as far as the damage and the fall off the wear. But if you're not doing it right, that's going to continue to go down, Brian, and that is what I'm banking on. It's going to cause a lot of these drivers that have nothing to lose actually come on down here and grab another fresh set of Goodyears, thus changing the entire. I mean, that's going to force the leaders to do something as well.
Well, I think it's crazy. I mean, how just handily Clayton is whooping these guys right now. I mean, Clayton is out to an over 2-second lead. He's doing what he does. I mean, this is I'll tell you, I should have picked him. I mean, I feel the same way that you do, Big Al. I mean, this guy, he's a previous series champion, just like Patrick Gitter is. But, you know, this guy's one of the old school ISCA racers. And it just shows how good he is that he can show up and still, you know, get it done. I mean, this guy has not skipped a step. When we see him all the time, I mean, I know I've watched some of the Group Vision broadcasts, you know, the Monday top split as well as the I believe Friday top split in IS. I mean, Clayton's usually one of the names that's up in that top 10, and he's usually up there battling quite hard and making some pretty good headway.
Well, he's going to come into dirty air. That's going to happen, and there's no doubt about it. And unfortunately, it's going to stay dirty probably for the foreseeable future, because these guys will they're taking up the majority of the space around this racetrack. To 96, he's down on pit road. I think that's going to probably start what we're going to call green flag pit stops.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's definitely a good chance. That maybe some guys will start to maybe migrate their way down pit road. I mean, we are about halfway, I think, through this run.
Oh, do you know they're looking and they're saying they're salivating? It's like watching a neighbor kid get a cheeseburger. You know, you're like, man, I want a cheeseburger. Yeah, you didn't even know you was hungry, but look, here it is. And I'm telling you, this is the one thing. This is going to be the one thing that's going to kind of jack it up, because the 21 of you-know-who, Patrick Gitter, pit road.
Yeah, no, 100%. So this is showing that, this is going to be a race where the guys are going to stop. I think Gitter knows exactly probably what the strat's going to be. So he's going to pop down pit road. Now, does Clayton answer? I think Clayton has got enough of a gap.
Clayton is not planning on stopping. I mean, that is not in his cards. I don't think anybody's gonna kind of make that decision for him. I believe he's the guy that's gonna go out there and try to run those tires, you know, off that car. I mean, that's what I get as a feeling. You could prove me wrong, but I just don't see Clayton coming down pit road.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I kind of disagree. I think that Clayton is going to pit, and I think he's going to be going down at some point. Because I just feel like I could be wrong too, but I mean, I feel like Brandon's definitely going to pit, because I mean, Brandon's struggling a lot on this long run. I feel like he's one that I'm shocked that Brandon didn't see Patrick go down and say, I got to go down too. So,
well, I think Brandon's situation, he's going to try to stay out as long as he can, because that way he'll be able to run faster and longer on the back end of that. You know, coming down early, it's not going to do him any good if Clayton doesn't pit. He needs to come down as close to when Clayton pits as possible if he's going to want to try to make his pit stop favorable for him.
I mean, you could be right on the money when it comes to Clayton, though. I mean, Clayton might, if he stays out this entire time, and maybe what Patrick is doing is like in a way like a gamble, you know. I mean, he's trying to race for a championship. He might do something that.
Ooh.
Oh no! Here he comes. Here comes Hoffman to pit road right now. A little bit of a lockup there.
A lot of bit of a lockup.
Could he have sped? Wouldn't that change everything?
He is clean so far. You're going to be watching the leader. This is definitely going to probe. You'll be seeing the 6th car come in pretty soon, because at this point he has no choice. And I think the sooner you get into Clayton, you know, the better you're going to be trying to minimize that damage. He doesn't want to keep.
I don't know, man.
He doesn't want to keep running slower. For him to stay out and run consistently slower, that's not going to do him any good. Number 1, Matt DeCiano pit road. The 50, Josh Schaffner pit road. The 83, Workman Jr., along with the 3 of Nick King, all down on pit road. Joshua was smack dab in the middle of it.
I gotta be honest, man. I mean, my call, if I'm Brandon Pasalacqua, well, no, he's coming down pit road. I was gonna say, if I was Brandon, I mean, he's struggling on the long run. It's like I feel like Brandon maybe should. Oh, I think Brandon might be giving it. What is he doing? He's coming. I hope he's not calling it quits here, because he's going a lot slower than I expected him to. He's just kind of running through all the boxes here. No, I think he's just trying to get minimize the time he spends.
Absolutely.
Actually coming down pit road, because it just looked like he was going a little slower than I was expecting. But what I was saying is, if I was Brandon, I would have probably tried to stay out as long as I could, because I mean, you know, what if a late race caution comes out? That could easily happen, and then he's ended up, you know, with all the track position, and some guys are a lap down. I mean, that would have been an amazing situation for him.
I mean,
that could have won him a championship.
I love you like a play cousin, but no, that ain't gonna work for us. I mean, he had to come down and
It's
stop
already
the
done
bleeding.
now.
Yeah, he had to stop the bleeding. He didn't have any because look, Clayton was fast on old tires. You can't allow that guy to come out there and turn cold tires into brace tires. You'll never see him again.
Well, I don't think he's going to see him. I don't think he's going to see him again anyway.
Wow.
I do want to mention, though, Patrick Gitter did come out ahead of Clayton Hoffman. I'm just being honest. Brandon is struggling. I mean, Clayton is good the entire run. I just don't think Brandon is going to see him again unless he does something desperate. And I think that staying out would have been the call. But Patrick Gitter, he is in front of Clayton Hoffman right now by 1.2 seconds. How does this look? And look at that, but I'm just looking at the field right now. There's a ton of drivers all kind of speckled out here. I can see a late race caution coming out at some point.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think you're definitely. I mean, we're filming the late race caution as we speak, and it is live. It's in the making. It's going to happen. But Gitter is in fresh air. He's up front now, and we're going to see if that works favorable for his car. You know, at least as favorable as it did for Clayton. We saw what happened when Clayton was in clean air. He was gone. You know, does Gitter get the same reaction in his car? Is he, you know, what is he doing?
Well, I mean, Gitter is, yeah, it looks like Clayton Hoffman was about a tenth faster that last time by. So he's clearly catching Gitter right now. And I would say, you know, Gitter is still having to deal with some traffic, not as much as, you know, he was dealing with, I'd say. So he does have somewhat relatively clean air right now.
But 45 laps ago, Gitter also understands that if he goes out there and drives the Goodyears off the tires right now, he's going to be struggling coming 5 to go. So he's still got to be very, very conservative as far as his tires go. And I think that's what you're seeing right now with him actually running a little bit slower.
Last time by, Gitter was faster. Last time by, Gitter was actually faster than Clayton Hoffman. So, you know, I don't know. This is interesting. This is a really, really, and you know, could Gitter have made adjustments to the race car? I think that's a possibility. They said they've been really, you know, trying to make the car feel a little bit better, and you could be right. He does have somewhat clean air right now compared to Clayton Hoffman. Hoffman also has to try to pass Patrick Gitter. You know, Clayton has not really been under a ton of pressure tonight. You know, he's been in the clean air, hasn't been worried about it. But now Gitter has got that clean air. Now Clayton has to try to pass someone. I mean, he hasn't had to pass anybody tonight. Now he's got to try to do that.
Yeah, and that changes everything. I mean, once you're at the chase car, I mean, you got to catch the leader. You don't have a choice. So that's what Clayton has to focus on. He's got to catch Gitter. And then a whole nother chapter is passing Gitter.
Yeah, 100%. Of course, Clayton Hoffman now about 8/10 back from Clayton Hoffman. Or should I say Clayton Hoffman is about, Clayton Hoffman's about 8/10 back from Patrick Gitter at the moment. And we'll see if if it closes up a little bit. I will say Brandon is faster than both of these guys, but he is 4 seconds back because of how long he stayed out on those tires. So, I mean, in a way, I do believe you're right when it comes to that regard. But I think now is a good time. I think we haven't had a chance to really give a lot of attention to our sponsors. And I think while we are waiting for this kind of battle to unfold, let's do exactly that. We'll be right back here on the ISCA.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Might be some rain coming through. We expect rain soon. Rain is close. The session has been declared wet. No sign of this rain stopping. Rain is clearing up. Rain should be gone for now. Nothing but sunshine all day.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ISCA Super Cup Series finale here at Phoenix Raceway. The butt kicker 250 as we are having 195 laps here tonight for the championship. Patrick Gitter trying to win it all right now. He did some pit strategy magic and was able to jump out in front of Clayton Hoffman, the course 21, who is the defending champion, has a little bit older tires than Clayton Hoffman, but so far he's been able to hold off the charging 92. The 92 still trying to, kind of cut down that gap. I think we just saw Dylan Banks actually pit from the lead. Clayton, do you think, or Clayton, Big Al, do you think Clayton's going to catch Patrick?
Yeah, there's no doubt he is going to catch him, Brian, because Patrick has a lot of traffic ahead of him. There's no way that he's going to. The race would have to be over. So he's going to have to navigate that traffic. That's going to allow Clayton to get a lot closer to him. And as this thing comes down to the wire, I think we're setting it up to be, I'm going to say it, one of the most exciting championships that the ISCA has seen. And we'll get a front row seat, so I'm pretty stoked about that.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think this has been the best season the ISCA has ever had. I don't think I'm exaggerating. I really don't. Clayton Hoffman, though, has not dealt with a lot of dirty air. He's dealing with it right now. He's right in the tire tracks of Patrick Gitter. I do want to mention the difference in tires is about 5 laps, 4 or 5 laps, give or take. And that's not that much, but still at Phoenix, it is kind of enough to make quite a big difference. But Patrick, I think, is going to have somewhat of an advantage here when it comes to holding off Clayton, because he has control of the racetrack right now. He can run whatever line he wants. Clayton has to try to pass him, and we've talked about how hard it is to pass at Phoenix. The only thing that I think Clayton can really do right now is watch for a chink in the armor for when Patrick has to pass a lap car.
Yeah, and it's going to be all about how fast the lap cars get out of the way because, these guys are racing for a butt kicker. And if, guys, I'm going to tell you, butt kicker does sponsor this series or sponsoring the race. If you're a simmer at all, you got to go find yourself a way to get into the haptics. Butt kicker will totally transform your game, and I'm guaranteeing whoever wins this probably already has one, but they're going to get 2. I've got 2. You should get 2 also.
Oh, we got an interesting camera angle there, watching the race from Kenny Powell's vantage point. But yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I actually have one. I've not set it up yet, and I feel bad about that. I mean, I gotta set it up.
They're simple to set up. You don't have to have a computer tech degree. You don't have to know how to code. But the immersion factor that it gives to your simming, that's what makes all the difference in the world. I don't care if you're trucking, if you're racing or farming.
What about like Flight Sim? I wonder if that helps.
Absolutely, it works with Flight Simulator. I mean, especially you can feel the inputs, the changes in the controls when the rudders go.
The battle is happening right now on our screens as Clayton Hoffman has done it. He has caught up to Patrick Gitter, and he's looking for a way to pass him to the inside. Goes the 92 into turn number, I do believe this is turn 3 and 4. I get confused. But it looks like Clayton get it? He's going to have to dive deep. And not quite able to get there. He's still going to try to go side by side in 1 and 2 here. This is the better, I think, place for you to be on the inside, maybe. But I don't know. This is going to be a tough pass. You can see Patrick has the advantage. He's able to really get the runs. If he just stays high and try to defend the high line, I think he's going to have it. He's going to be able to hold him off.
We see another thing that's happening, too. While these guys are up here battling for the lead, and they are truly battling for the lead, that is going to really allow that 6 and the 1 of Matt DeCiani and Brandon to slowly creep up into the conversation. And they're not doing their tires any favors either. By these two actually battling so hard and going side by side, that's really going to stuff those Goodyears a lot more. So, I don't know, man. This thing gets more and more exciting as the laps pass.
Man, you just spoke some truth right here, Big Al. I mean, Brandon, this is going to pay dividends for Brandon Passalacqua because, I mean, the more these guys battle, the more they're slowing each other down, the more they're wearing each other's tires out. I mean, Brandon, he has the newest tires. He waited until the last minute to kind of pit, or should I say he waited the longest to pit. So even though he had horrible long run speed, I'd say, he doesn't have to worry about that because he's on newer tires than these guys. So, and look at the lap times. I mean, he's about 2/10, 3/10 faster every lap than these guys. He's going to whittle that 2 seconds down if these guys keep battling. And I think Clayton says, yes, we're going to keep battling.
And they're not just battling, Brian. They're battling and they're stuck in traffic. So there's 2 things that are going against them. They're getting all of that dirty air from the cars that are in front of them. Gitter's trying to figure out, when I catch these cars, where am I going to go? But he's having to look out his rearview mirror as well. So he is totally enveloped right now. I mean, he is task saturated. Clayton Hoffman now going to go out to the inside. And Clayton's still trying to make it back. And how long have these guys been going side by side? Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. We've been doing this right now for going on 4 laps.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is Clayton wants to get it done so badly and is just not able to get it. I mean, he's trying to get the runs on the exits, just cannot get it done. I mean, here he goes back to the inside again. He's able to get side by side in, I do believe, 1 and 2, but he's not able to actually capitalize. And you can see he gets a little bit tight coming out of turn 2.
3 wide right here. Because they got the 11. I believe that's the 11.
Yeah, that was Matthew Cisna. He's got some front end damage.
So,
he's got quite a bit of front end damage, actually.
And the one thing I do believe Brandon learned, because Brandon kind of said when we talked to him, he talked about the adjustments they were making to make the car faster. Well, you come back to this last stage, you got almost the same setups, maybe a little bit more rubber on the track, but the temp's about the same. So you plug in what you put in to run fast between the first 2 stages for 40 laps, and you might find yourself, in a good position.
We'll see. I mean, he's, 1.4 seconds back from Clayton Hoffman, and Hoffman is still not able to pass Gitter. Now, I got to think, I believe Clayton is probably now back at the drawing board a little bit. He's like trying to formulate an attack plan. That's how Clayton drives. I mean, he's just probably sitting there thinking, okay, this is not working. What I am trying to do versus Patrick is not working. He is just causing me to scorch my tires. What can I do here? What can I do here? So Clayton is probably thinking, okay, I got to try something different. Now, what that will be, I have no idea, but I just know that's.
I'm going to tell you what is, and the one thing he has to do to get around Gitter right now is he's going to have to get around him on the outside. See, Gitter's, he's hip to what's going on, so he's only going to give Clayton the inside all day long because he knows that Clayton can't bend those strings enough down there on the inside to carry that speed off to get back to where he needs in order to make a pass. Because if the lines around this track have you going high up against the wall in several points, and that is key to get the most speed and to shove your tires less. Now
here he goes. Yeah, exactly.
Trying to get around the outside.
But the thing is that he's just gonna. The thing is, you can use that higher line in 1 and 2 like he's doing to get a run down this back stretch. But you have to exit on the high side of the 21. Like, can you actually exit side by side on the high side? I don't think Patrick is going to give him that option. We'll have to wait and see. I do tell you, the 6 continuing to close in. 1.2 seconds now is the gap. But also Brandon has traffic to deal with. I mean, you see Dylan Banks. Dylan Banks is on newer tires than both Clayton Hoffman and Patrick Gitter. So that's going to be a little bit of an issue for these drivers as Dylan's going to be trying to pass these guys and unlap himself.
Oh, I mean, he could try, but I just no comment. Okay,
he's got newer tires. So.
Yeah, but we're coming down 10 laps to go here to the championship. This isn't the time for Dylan to go 3 wide to try to get his lap back. I mean, talk about
call him up and tell him that.
Let's talk about getting a dirty email. I mean, that just.
Yeah, I think you maybe should call Dylan and ask him about that. It sounds like on our Grid Vision stream we were having some issues. We'll have that all sorted out here momentarily. Of course, the race is definitely starting to heat up. Less than 10 laps to go. Patrick Gitter is in control, 0.2 of a second lead. Got to keep in mind, this guy is the defending champion. He won this race last year and won the championship. Can he win? Actually, no, I think Derek Heitman actually won this race last year, didn't he? But Patrick was the first championship 4 driver. I believe. I can't remember. He won the championship. He did win the championship last year.
I mean, he's got his toes crossed. He's got his hairs crossed. He's got his nose crossed, his fingers crossed. He just needs this race to stay green and for people to keep doing what they're doing, which essentially is just getting the heck up out of his way. Because as him and Clayton come down, they only got one more car, I believe, that's really and that's Randy Drumheller, that's really going to be there. But once they get around him, I mean, it's really going to be a go-go.
Randy is not making it easy, though. Randy is running a line that is pretty much exactly what they're racing. So that's kind of difficult. You know, it's slowed down Patrick a little bit. Patrick having to step a little out of his comfort zone to get by the 44, but it looks like he's going to manage to get through.
You know,
and here comes Clayton. Clayton back to the inside, trying to get there, not able to get there.
Another thing that we neglected here, that we didn't talk about the actual time these gentlemen spent on pit road. And I don't think any of them took 4 tires. I mean, they were all 4, 9, 2, 11, 5, 9, 3, 12, 8. That's the time that our 4 fantastic 4 spent in the box. So, what does that tell you?
I'm showing a different story. I'm showing a different story. I'm showing they did take 4.
Okay, yep. That's so okay. I'm sorry.
Showing 14-second stops. Yeah.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I can only report what I see on my screen. I'm so sorry for that misinformation, but we can blame Sim Racing Apps. That's simracingapps.com. Wasn't Big Al. It was them.
Oh, no. That's the opposite of an advertisement. But here we go. We're coming down to 5 laps to go, and Clayton, he's all over the 21. Can he manage to get it done? Will he move him for the championship? I mean, this is a track that the bump and run could be a valid strategy. Brandon Pasalacqua, he's about 0.8 of a second back from these drivers. He's having trouble getting by lap traffic as well. And Dylan Banks is in the way for Brandon as well, and he's on newer tires. So this is going to be a tricky navigation thing for these 6. I know the 6 is probably wanting so badly for these lap cars to get out of the way so they can battle here.
Yeah, he gets by the 44 Drumheller. Now he actually has just a little bit of time to try to get up and get around Dylan Banks and try to get up here and well, at least get on the podium. I mean, that would be the ultimate goal, if not to win this thing. But Marin is coming down to the wire, so I'm afraid that some people might have waited a little bit too late. Now, who those people are, we don't know yet, but we're getting ready to find out. Will Clayton Hoffman be able to make the move on the inside to get around Patrick Gitter, or will Gitter hold him off? That's going to be the question that we're going to have the answer to in just 3 short laps.
Yeah, and I saw as well Matthew Cisno. Of course, we don't need to take a replay or anything like that, but I saw smoking for Matthew Cisno down pit road. As we see almost, I think some physicality could be coming into play here as Clayton Hoffman almost he's trying to push, I do believe, Patrick Gitter into the corner.
Yeah, Matthew Cisno was just stopped on the track just for a moment there. Not sure what happened, but thank goodness he took the tow back to his box, because that would have been catastrophic. As right now, the next flag that comes out is going to signal the end of this race. It should be the white flag, and if we can get the white flag, then it's just going to be right now it's just a 2-lap shootout between 2 cars.
Yeah, Clayton Hoffman versus Patrick Gitter, and so far Gitter, can he hold off Clayton Hoffman? So far he's been successful in doing exactly that. As here comes Clayton to the inside. Once again, white flag is out, and Clayton has got to do everything he can. Does he use the front bumper of that Toyota? No, I think it's an option here for the 92.
I don't think that's not who Clayton is. I think these guys have the utmost respect.
Here he comes. Here he comes. This is the last charge he's got here to the inside. They're gonna. Oh, they do touch. Patrick goes sideways, but it still doesn't matter. Patrick Gitter will win the championship. Wow.
Literally sideways coming out of 4, baby. Side by side. You can't get. I'm just saying, you can't get a better finish than that right there.
Clayton Hoffman was so close to getting the championship title, and I gotta say, Dylan Banks gave Patrick a little bit of a bump there going across the start-finish line. I don't think that impacted the finish at all, but you could tell Dylan trying to help out the 21 a little bit as Matt DeCiani comes up and gives the congratulations. If we can, I think we should take a look at that last lap one more time. Let's take a look.
Good to go, be on the spot.
I think it's worth it. That was such a fantastic lap. Last lap finish there. No, this is not. And here we go. We're going to take a look at the last lap. And this is such a, I'll tell you, this is going to go down in the history books for an epic finish right here. You see Clayton trying his best. He gets underneath. And just they touch Patrick sideways. Look at yes, they definitely did. They definitely did.
I didn't see any contact.
But look at, now while I was talking about Dylan did bump the 21 across the line, but Patrick would have still won either way. What a race for Patrick Gitter. I thought he was out of this thing.
We're missing the burnout.
That's okay. We can go back and look at it.
We got to grade the burnout. Because he can win the championship, but not the burnout championship.
Well, and if he doesn't burn out good enough, we take the championship from him and we award it to you.
I got the beat train.
This is a championship level burnout right here, though. I gotta say, what a great run for Patrick Gitter. I had Clayton marked. Because Clayton was just so good on the long run, but this guy
didn't I pick out?
You did. You absolutely did, but you forgot about it halfway in the race.
Well, thanks for reminding me. That's what man. Way to be on that, little Brian.
What a great job from Patrick Gitter. Let's go down and run through the final running order of the final race of the 2024 season. Patrick Gitter, your winner here tonight. What a fantastic run for him. Clayton Hoffman, a heartbreaking second place, so close to a title. If he had just pitted maybe a little bit earlier, I think he would have had the championship possibly here tonight. Third place, Brandon Pasalaco was closing in. He finished 0.5 of a second back. Could he, if he had more laps, maybe gotten it done? Possibly. Derek Heitman, he finished 4th. Matt DeCiani kind of had some issues where he lost track position earlier in this race. fought his way back up to 5th, so definitely respectable for him. But unfortunately, he will not exit this race as the champion. Josh Shofter finishes 6th, Brian Johnson 7th, Randy Mullins 8th, Tim Wortman Jr. 9th, Nick King rounds out the top 10. As you see, Patrick actually going to the victory lane. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's going to put Alexander Carr in 11th with, relative grade car in 12th. 13th place has Jay Hone. 14th, Dylan Banks. Randy Drumheller comes in at 15th. Jose Medina. 16th, John Bender. 17th. 18th place shows Greg Wachinski. 19th is his G&G teammate of Mark Sanchez. Matthew Cisna comes in 20th. 21st is going to show Jeffrey Souza. J.C. Evans, 22nd. Kenny Powell, 23rd. 24th, Kendall O'Brien. Chris Severa, 25th. And Paul Olsen rounds out the 26th car field. That's going to do this portion of the show. We're going to take a brief step away, get some words from our sponsors, and we'll be back with our post-race show.
Getting into this particular business, it was very important for us to make sure that we were putting out the most authentic product. Sugarlands Distilling Company is a fantastic distillery in downtown Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Our goal is to spread across the country. We would love your help in doing that.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the iRacing Stock Car Association Super Cup Series, as we have just wrapped up the final race of the season. Kind of a little bit of a sad day for us up here in the booth, but I'll tell you what, it's probably a very happy day for the winner of this race. Of course, we're going to start, though, with our third place finisher. Brandon Pasalacqua, do we have you?
That's Brian. How are you?
Doing good, man. I just got to ask you, how are you? I mean, what would it have taken to catch up to Clayton and Patrick?
More talent in the car, probably. Like as we talked during the stage break, I put a lot of work in this week and just couldn't get the car to handle the way I wanted to. So I think it's a driver deal there. But yeah, I think the only reason I got close at the end was because those guys were racing side by side for I don't know the last 20 to 30 laps. So I was just happy we had a top 5 car. Definitely closed the gap from last year here at Phoenix in terms of our outright pace. So all in all, it's a good day, something to be proud of, and podium finished to cap off the year is always great. Derek actually passed me at the end and gave it back to me, but so I appreciate that. But it was a good race and a lot of fun.
Well, it definitely seemed like if you maybe had some laps left, and if those guys kept battling like they were, you might have actually put yourself into the battle as well. But it seemed like it was really, really difficult to pass. I mean, so what was the struggle here? You said because I mean, I think at other mile tracks or other kind of speedway style racetracks, you've been very strong. What do you think the mark was that you missed?
And I was super tight entry into 1, and it just carried tightness all the way through the corner. So I thought I did my best to come in with a loose set. I mean, these track temps the last few weeks have been down quite a lot. So it's been tough to adjust the car to get it to where I like it handling. So definitely missed it in going in turn 1, middle of 1 and 2 there. But I was also terrible in dirty air. Hoffman backed me up pretty good at the beginning, and I was a fool and burnt my stuff up, so I tried to back up. And then once we got in dirty air towards the end with guys on different, amount of laps on their tires, I was struggling mightily. So just needed to have a better handling car to kind of dice through traffic there.
Well, I mean, I'm hoping we're going to probably see you, next season, and you probably took a lot of notes, right? I mean, are you confident that you're going to have a much better shot next season?
I'd say, I think that I have the opportunity to have just as good of a shot as I've had this year, and even last year, to be the regular season champion both years, and 2 years in a row. Granted, I run most of the races, so it's kind of easy to get that, but also being consistent enough and have enough speed to make it to the Final Four these last 2 years is an accomplishment in and of itself. So next year we're going to try to run as many races as we can and try to repeat the same things, and hopefully one of these days I can figure out what it takes to get up there with Hoffman and Patrick.
Well, I think you're definitely getting closer and closer and closer, Brandon. Of course, I told you I picked you for the championship, and I don't regret making that pick because I feel like you're a championship caliber driver. But who can we shout out after your third place finish here in the final race of the season?
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. I just shout out to Patrick, and we always talk about how phenomenal of a driver he is, and it's a pleasure racing with him in the league. He definitely makes me better, and I know I could say the same for my teammates. Feel the same way. So, and Clayton, huge shout out to him as well. I think he had the best car tonight, and I was super surprised that Patrick was able to hold them off that last run, but that just goes to show the amount of talent we have in here. So good runs by them, and definitely shout out to Matt DiCiani. It's such a pleasure racing with him. Been racing with him for 3 years now consistently, and it's just nice having the amount of respect that him and I have for each other. So shout out to you guys in booth. Thank you, Kenny, for another amazing season. We're gonna keep this going. Glad you're doing some stuff in the off season to keep the momentum. And shout out to OB Builders, Ram Welding and Fabrication, Southern Spiral Pipe, and my boys at Paradigm, Chris, Brian, Josh, and Randy.
All right, Brandon. We'll definitely appreciate you, and I will miss you for sure, and can't wait to see you in February. Maybe I'll run one of these fun hosted races or something like that. We'll see each other on the track then. But have a good one, Brandon.
Hey, I like the sound of that. Thank you, Brian. Take care.
Yes, sir. Next up, Big Al's going to be standing by with the one and only 92 Clayton Hoffman.
Ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Clayton Hoffman. Sir, congratulations to you for coming in P2. It was a heck of a run this year. I mean, I'm telling you, I was honored to actually call for you. What do you got? What's going through your mind here tonight?
Yeah, just should have pit earlier and reacted quicker to get her to stay ahead of, and that was pretty much it. Once I got to him out there on the track, I just overheated the right front and just couldn't recover from it. Car just ended up getting too tight, and I tried to make a little run there at the end, but I couldn't get to his outside because I was too tight. I was really tight on throttle behind him, so yeah, just couldn't make the pass happen there. If I could have gone back, I would have probably done a couple things a little differently to try and just maintain on his outside, because I think pretty much it was whoever got to whoever's outside was going to win that.
Well, definitely it was an epic battle, way to finish the season, not only the race. And if you had to lose, I guess probably the best person to lose to, for the record, I had you pick to win this thing. So as you're going on into the off season, what are some of the biggest takeaways for you after completing this season here with the ISCA?
Well, I mean, I joined like a third of the way through the season back in May, I think. So, it was nice to come back and race. Yeah, I mean, I'd say, biggest takeaway is that change will be, from the last time I was racing in here is, it's just the Super Cup Series now that just follows the NASCAR season, so we won't be racing next week. So, that's disappointing, but, I understand why and everything. So, yeah, I won't have anything to do on my Thursday nights for a while.
Yeah, definitely gonna miss this, but man, you put on a heck of a show here for us throughout the season. Appreciate everything you did. Who you shouting out here tonight?
Just thanks to you guys in the booth, all the guys racing out there on the track. Thanks to Kenny for putting on the league. Thanks to Butt Kicker for sponsoring the race. It was a good time. Didn't get the result I think I should have gotten, but that was error on me more than anything. I think I had the best car tonight, and I think staying up there with Pat and just racing for so long, I kind of still had some sort of for him, but I couldn't make it. I couldn't get it done at the end of the day. So disappointed in that.
Yeah, definitely a tough one here tonight, boss. But we're gonna be looking out for you. You're gonna be back next year, right?
I mean, as long as I'm working my current job with my current hours, yes. So probably, most likely.
All right, Roger that, man. Hope to see you next year. Take care of yourself, and great race.
Thank you.
That was Clayton Hoffman, driver of the 92, and just definitely can hear the disappointed, I do believe, coming in P2. That's just the one thing about racers in this series. P2 is not good enough, especially in a championship. But next up, we're going to talk to the man that was able to get back-to-back championships, Patrick Gitter. You won the championship last year, and here you are back in victory lane and another trophy hoisted over your head. Walk us through what you're feeling. I mean, especially to go toe-to-toe with Clayton Hoffman. I mean, he was putting pressure on you.
Yeah, I'm still, my heart rate is still coming down. That was incredible racing at the end. I mean, Brandon and Clayton said it, and I knew it. I mean, I think everybody watching the race knew that Clayton probably had the better car, seemed to have the better car. We kept throwing some adjustments at ours to counteract, such cool track temps. And we felt like we were kind of chipping away at it through the race, and I think we had just enough in the car at the end with the combination of trying to short pit early, grab the lead. And our car just had such fantastic drive off that I was just lucky to be in a spot where I was able to defend. And honestly, I mean, huge props to Clayton. I've raced with Clayton for a while now and know he's a respectful driver, but there's plenty of guys that would have just shipped me up into the wall for the win, and he didn't do that, and that just speaks to his character and the type of racer that he is.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely agree for sure. But just what a strategy as well for you. I mean, did you think that was going to work? I mean, you only had about 4 or 5 lap older tires than Clayton. Did you think that was going to be a big deal?
I wasn't sure if it was going to work. I knew it was all just going to come down to what kind of gap I was going to have when I came out, and then after Clayton had pit. I mean, if I knew I figured if Clayton had 5-6 tenths between he and I, then I didn't really have much optimism. But I figured if I could put at least a second between us, then maybe I'd have a shot. That way I could maybe, I mean, not conserve, but I didn't have to drive the wheels off of it straight out of the pits. So I think it was just, I just got fortunate with the timing and the distance that we had. And then, man, our car again, it just had phenomenal drive off. That was the strongest part of it, and I think that helped us there at the end.
Yeah, and you were able to really defend, kind of on that higher line, and just, he wasn't able to really get the momentum off the corner. So that definitely seemed like it was, was one of your strengths here tonight. But now, you have the championship, 2-time championship, champion in the ISCA. I mean, that's a big deal. I don't think a whole lot of people have that feather in their cap. I mean, Clayton might be one of them, but I mean, you went back to back, which is something I don't think anybody, I'm not sure on the stats there, but I'll tell you, I guarantee you it's rare for sure. I mean, do you feel like this is, how big of an accomplishment do you believe it is to win a championship in this series?
Man, I'm just thrilled. This league every year gets better and better, and everybody in the championship for tonight deserved to be there. And I mean, when we loaded in this race, I had no clue who was going to come away with the win. I mean, everybody looked, at different points of the race, everybody had really good pace at some point. I mean, Brandon was hanging with Clayton. Clayton was leading. My car really didn't flip around to the end of the race. All season long, I mean, you look at the list of guys, and the race statistics, the number of wins, laps led, I mean, poles, all that. I mean, there's such a spread of which guys have won races, how many have won. There's not one person that's really run away with that. So I think it speaks to the competition, and I just only think it's gonna get better next year too.
So speaking of next year, do we expect to see you?
I mean, I hope so. That's the plan. I really, this is about my favorite league to run. The competition's great. I mean, we went green flag all race tonight with no cautions. That's typically the case.
One caution.
One caution. Which still, that's fantastic in my opinion for Phoenix. Yeah, I mean, I would love to be back. That's the plan. And I hope a lot of the guys come back next year too. It's just that's what makes it fun. There's such good competition, green flag runs. So it's what makes it, gives it the notoriety that it has.
All right, well, now that this season is complete and you are the champion, who can we shout out for your trophy?
Man, first off, got to thank my teammates that have run all year. Yeah, it's mainly been Derek and Matt. Really great teammates all year. They've helped a lot. I mean, me and Matt, and then our friend Joe, we spent a lot of time trying to dial something in this week that we were gonna feel comfortable with. TCSP had a great set itself, so between that and what we put our heads together for this league event, we were able to put something together that we felt was strong. So appreciate my teammates. Got to shout out TCSP, Simrio Designs, Martin PC, you guys in the booth. Done a great job all year. Kenny for putting on the league. And a special shout out to Grid Vision tonight too for helping make the championship broadcast special tonight.
Yeah, 100%. I echo that for sure. Thanks for your time, Patrick, and congratulations on your championship.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Alrighty, that was Patrick Gitter, the 21. And I do want to make sure that I correct this. Big Al said he picked Clayton Hoffman, but truly he picked Patrick Gitter. So he was right. I don't know why he would declare he was wrong, but he was right. But do want to give a shout out as well to Grid Vision. I mean, of course, I have a long history with the Grid Vision crew, and Austin Derbyshire did a fantastic job, of course, producing here tonight, and we love that this partnership was able to happen here for this night, and hopefully we can see something in the future similar to this happen again. That'd be great. Of course, want to give a big shout out to Big Al. Big Al, any final thoughts before we go for the season?
Man, this is brutal. I mean, it's been one of the best seasons I could have ever imagined. Thank Kenny for putting on the league. Thanks to all the drivers and their families, because we truly understand the amount of time that it takes away. So thank you for sharing them with us. Thank you, Brian. You've been the best. I've learned a lot from you, and I appreciate you for that. And man, thanks, Kenny, for giving us a place to do it all. Thanks to all of the sponsors, especially Butt Kicker. Thanks for the guys down behind the scenes that make it happen. And yeah, it's going to suck next Thursday.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to, considering, I mean, just as we see on our screens here, or at least on the ISCA broadcast, maybe not on the Grid Vision, but just either way, we're going to be having Thursday night hosted races, I do believe, for the off season. They will not be broadcasted, but they will, no fee or anything like that. I do believe 2.5K I-rating limit, so you have to be above that in order to join, plus 3.0, I do believe that's R. So it'll just be some fun open style races every Thursday night, so it'd be cool to see you in there. I might even join and jump in one of those, so that way the broadcaster can wreck the drivers. That'll be cool. But definitely looking forward to it for sure. I'm sure it'll be some really good, clean racing. Of course, usually, we do talk about what's next week. Well, that's what's next week. We're not going to be broadcasting those, though. But one thing we will be broadcasting is we do have a special event coming up in December 6th, I do believe, for Americans at least. December 6th, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is going to be December 7th, 12 a.m. Australian Eastern Time. We'll be racing at a.m. I said a.m. It says p.m. on the, or a.m. on the poster, so I do apologize. We have a little bit of a typo on the information here. It is going to be 12 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Do apologize. Producer needs to get better at his poster at work. I'm just playing, Kobe. Please don't kill me. But do want to reiterate more about that. That's going to be a race at Bathurst. It's going to be Australians versus Americans, which is going to be really, really cool. Bathurst is a very difficult racetrack. A lot of walls, a lot of elevation changes. It's going to be awesome. And so for anyone that's like a road course racer, that's where you're going to want to be. There's going to be some prizes. $50 is on the line for the winner. Second place, I do believe, gets 30. Third place gets 20. Also, real physical trophies as well. So, I'd like to see who's going to win the Battle of the Nations. I mean, that's kind of what it's all about. Like, Americans versus Australians. I'm excited to see who's going to show up. We're also going to have, I do believe, it's open setups. You can build your own setup, but also I do believe it is going to be as well sponsored by Team Watson Racing Setup. So you are going to be provided with a fixed setup provided by TWRS if you need a setup and don't have one. So be really fun. Hopefully we'll see you there. But with that, this concludes the season. Thanks everybody for being here tonight. We'll see you next season in February. Have a good night. Have a great off season. We look forward to seeing you. We will miss you. See you later. This has been Brian Britt. This is the ISCA.